Good evening and welcome to Live with Jill and Frank. Unfortunately, again this week, a Frank edition. Um, Jill will be joining us soon, I hope. Unfortunately, she ended up with pneumonia. I'm not going to get into too many details, but yes, let's just say that it was touch and go a little bit. And I spoke to her yesterday. She was okay. But yeah, let's just say that doesn't make for a triumphant return we were expecting this week. Um, and so, everybody, look, I'm going to ask you all like, send her some good vibes, send her some love. She definitely needs it. She was having a hard time. But, as they say, the show must go on, right? And so I am going to try to have a good show nonetheless. Now, I've got a few topics I want to talk about tonight. I'm gonna go in that in like an order, and I think the last one kind of really works. But the first thing I want to talk about is something that happened actually while Jill was sick. Like again, I don't want to go into too many details, but Jill ended up in the hospital. She's out now. But at the time, I do energy work, and sometimes I can send energy to help heal and stuff. But the way it's always been with me for some reason is there's a guidance that goes with it. And sometimes I'm randomly called to a person in some situation, whatever. And for some reason, something inside me says, okay, wait a minute. Like, and I'll offer to that person, I'll say, hey, you know what? I do energy work. Next time I'm doing my work, would you like me to send you positive energy in order to help heal? And it's not just help heal, it's help grow. Anyhow. Uh, and sometimes I also have a person that will ask for help, and I get the that same intuitive answer that says, "Don't help that person." Now, um, at the time when that happened, I got that same feeling, and it was excessively hard for me because of course I would want to jump in and help. I would want to go, hey, I'm going to send everything I can to help. And somehow something was telling me, like, no, this is her fight. You know what I mean? And so yeah, that was challenging, like having to deal with. And I don't know if, like, anybody else that is a healer in some way or another, if anybody can relate with that. But yeah, like clearly for me, that was that's a thing that happens, right? Sometimes I receive instructions, if you will, to go on and use that energy, and other times it's advised against. I'll say, you know what I mean? Now, I'll be honest, I feel I cheated, but I went on an empath site, and I actually in a group on Facebook, and I got them all to send her healing and love and whatnot. And so I feel it wasn't me interfering; it was other people, and so that was my workaround. But anyways, all this to say, she's doing better now, and I've prepared us a nice show tonight. But I wanted to chime in with, if there's other healers that watch the show, whatever, that, chime in, let us know in the comments, like, how is it for you? You know what I mean? Do you receive that sort of guidance, that thing that tells you, this is going to work, this is not going to work, or do it, or don't do it this way? Or how does that work out for you? You know what I mean? Does the energy give you feedback that way, and information? Now, I've prepared a couple of important topics there, and some of them tie into some stuff that we've already spoken about on previous weeks. You know what I mean? And if you want to go back and check out some of the other lives, there's always a lot of interesting topics there. But one of the things I want to talk about is anger and hatred, even in its more obscure and extreme form, if you will. But let's start with the fact of, okay, anger is what you could call a secondary emotion. What it means is that anger requires an initial emotion to trigger. So the trigger to anger could be, frustration. It could be hurt. It could be a fear of a feeling of abandonment. It could be, right. There's going to be a trigger. There's going to be a hurt of some sort. Now that hurt, we at some point, right, and we're not going to get into this because like that's way too much detail to go back in the past for the way it's created. But let's just say that anger is a feeling that will give us power, right? We feel power when we're angry at someone, right? We feel power over them. We feel, whereas if we're hurt, if we feel they're abandoning us, if we make ourselves vulnerable in that situation, well, now that is a whole different feeling and it's very uncomfortable. And as humans, for some reason, generation over generation, we've been taught to avoid uncomfortable. And this in this day and age, it's worse than ever, I think. And part of that, I'm calling that like the entanglement of the ego, right? And this is what's happening right now: is our egos taking over. We're like big time in our ego right now, right? Everything is about sex. Everything is about money, about drugs, about escaping, entertainment, like everything we can do to escape reality, to escape our humanity. Now, um, yeah, so we have this huge entanglement. Now, the problem is, in order to avoid ourselves the way we're doing right now, yeah, there's a cost, right? And so, in order to not feel the hurt, in order to not feel how empty we've become, we turn everything into anger. Anger being the secondary emotion that allows us to allows our ego, right? Because there's multiple parts of us, so we're gonna get into that a little bit. Um, but you've got your ego, but you also have what I call your higher self. That part of you sort of like has an overview of everything else, but the problem is it becomes clouded with anger and with hatred. uh, they cloud everything. They're poisons, basically. Like anger and hatred, if you have them in your heart, they're like a poison. They will get everywhere into your life, because don't forget, life is a mirror. Life will always mirror to you what you either a are, but a lot of times when you have that anger, you can't go around the world and looking at yourself and going like, I'm an angry person, this is fun. So people deny anger, right? A lot. So now you've got a lot of anger. You're projecting that anger into the world. It's reflecting back to you. So you think the world is angry at you. um it's a mess. And there's only one thing that frees us from that mess, as far as I know. Anyways, as far as my own experience, what has helped me the most, I think, or at least one of the things that has helped me the most, has been forgiveness. Looking at the people, and I mean, believe me, people, there are people that have hurt me to levels that, yeah, I went around, I don't know, I went around like, I did not have guards up. I did not have boundaries. I did not have like I lacked being shown so many of the basics, but I was also an excessively curious kid, and I was all over the place. So like, believe you me, I mean, I received a fair bit of crap around like over the years. But so I had a lot of hatred in my heart at the time when I came in, like when I stopped using drugs, when I came into recovery, when I said, okay, that's it, like I'm done. This is crazy. My life is nuts. Um, I had a lot of hatred in my heart. I had a lot of anger in my heart, and those things were at the center of what was going on with me. Now that and learning to deal with my emotions, I didn't know the name of emotions. I didn't know how to deal with them, how to express them. I had no boundaries. I didn't know how to express boundaries. Now, all those things, you guys, I mentioned them all because look, if those are things you're struggling with, like any of those things, if you're at any point in that path and you feel you need help, I mean, that is what I do in my coaching. Now, I'll be honest, I don't have a whole lot of openings of it, and it's not cheap, but at the same time, I mean, if you're able to afford spending on yourself, definitely, you know, I can absolutely help you get through a lot of those stages. Um, Partly because I've gone there. I've looked at myself, I've done shadow work, I've done all those things, and I've learned how to coach others through their own, um, through learning who they are and expressing who they are in the right ways, and especially if it's on a spiritual path. Now, that being said, anyways, we'll leave the shameless plugs aside. By the way, guys, look, like this live, this video, whatever, like it, subscribe. Please help us. Like we're trying to make it here. We're slowly getting some traction. You guys are giving us a little bit of feedback, and we're loving this. Please don't let us down. Like help us, right? Share. Do all that stuff for us, and we really do appreciate it, and we really want to continue doing content for you guys, and hopefully it's interesting to some of you guys. Now, if you manage to get rid of that anger, if you manage to get rid of that hatred, now don't get me wrong, you're going to get angry, like, in your everyday life, right? Like somebody's going to do something, you're going to go, hey, what the hell are you doing? Like, yes, and that's okay. But also, because you have clear boundaries, because you learn to build those, now you're not going to be angry very often in reality, because you're going to be firm in what you believe and firm in what you're willing to do and unwilling to do. But you're not going to have to get angry much. Like whenever you feel anger, you're going to go, okay, wait a minute, why am I feeling anger? And you're going to discover it. Because that is what you can have in life. That is absolutely possible. Definitely. And so now, the other thing that's going to be key in all this is if you can learn non attachment, right? Don't be attached to. Here's an example, the hurt itself, even the hurt that's under the anger, and even the anger, you're going to be attached to both of those things in their own right. And when you look at them, you'll have to let go of that attachment. I know it sounds weird, but it's okay. When you get through it, you'll know. You'll be like, oh, Frank had mentioned that. Yeah, of course I did. Now, so you have to not be attached to things. Don't be attached to outcomes. Let go of outcomes. When you say, okay, I'm going to start doing this, even if you get a job, right? Like you say, I'm going to get a job, I'm going to be able to do this, I'm going to be able to do that, I'm going to spend my money here, I'm going to blah, 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 blah. And look, the truth is, 99% of the time, none of that exactly goes the way you had planned. It just goes some weird other way or whatever. And it's close or it's not that close. It doesn't matter. The truth is, it just, yeah, it happens anyways. But don't be attached to the exact outcome. Leave attachment behind. Now, here's something important. I think it's a different topic here. Like I'm gonna do a little bit of a tangent here, but this is the next topic that I wrote here, and it's about learning to be alone. Look, if you're in a, and I've been there, but if you're in a situation, if I say to you, right, and this is how I found out, I read a book and it was about a place where you could go, and it's not that far from me, it's a couple of hours away. But it was a place where you could go, and you could go in the woods and you'd get a cabin, whatever, and you're there for a week or so. And for that week, you're alone and nobody can talk to anybody else in that forest. Nobody can, like you're not supposed to interact with people. It's all in silence, right? And the reason you're there is actually to be in silence and to do some introspection. The first time I heard about that, and when I read that book, I was like, that's insane. I can't even imagine going and doing something like that, right? It was unthinkable for me. Uh, I didn't think I could be alone with my thoughts whatsoever, right? Now I was older and I had tried meditation a little bit. I had tried a lot of stuff and still I didn't, quite, yeah, it still felt big for me even even after I had done some of that. Now today, yeah, I go spend like countless hours in the woods. I'd be okay. I'd be okay for like, I don't know, a long time in the woods alone. I'm okay. I would love it actually for a while. But yeah, that's the thing. You need to, and there's going to be fear in that. Because look, all the hurt I'm telling you is under the anger. If you remove everybody else, guess what doesn't happen? You can't get angry at nothing. Well, you can get angry. Like you'll be angry. You'll scream maybe. You'll be alone. You might freak out a bit, but it's, yeah, you got to face that fear. You got to face the fear that you have of your own thoughts and of yourself. But once you do, if you manage to get through a certain amount of time, or if you manage, even if I'm not saying go get lost in the woods for a week, that is not for everybody. But what I'm saying is either, take up meditation, start something small, take time for yourself every day and learn to develop that love for yourself, right? Taking care of yourself, having gratitude for things, right? I said forgiveness before, but I also, one of the big parts of the recipe is gratefulness. One of the best tools I've ever had on my spiritual path is the simplest I've ever had. It's a gratitude book. You have a small book, and every day in that book, at whatever time, I don't, it doesn't matter, do it whatever way is good for you, right? But here's what I did every day. You write three good things, three things you're grateful for in your life. And it's funny because we think that's so stupid, that's easy. And then you sit and you go, okay, well, wait a minute, what am I grateful for? And you have to think about it at first. And it takes maybe a minute, a couple of minutes, whatever. You're going like, okay. But eventually, you're coming up, you could come up with pages, right? Because you learn to be grateful. And that's what the book accomplishes. It's not about what you write in the book. What you write in the book is important insofar as it's helping you learn to look at the things that you're grateful for. And if you can reprogram the way you look at the world, that's the power we have over the world, right? They say as below, as above, like as within, as without. All that is all absolutely practical stuff. It's not just, because yes, the world mirrors you back. Like I said, if you're angry, if you're full of hatred, you're going to perceive the world as a very hateful place. You're going to perceive the world as, everybody's going to be enemies. If you remove those and you feel the hurt at first, you're going to be, you're still going to perceive the world, but you're going to see yourself maybe as a victim, or you're going to adopt a different role in it because you're going through some stuff that you should have gone through before. But don't forget, you're an adult now. The stuff that you didn't go through before, you didn't go through it because you were young. It was traumatic and it was very hard to go through. But today, you're an adult. You let people in and out of your life whenever you want, right? You're building boundaries. You're learning the ability to say no. Those things count for something. And every little building block, every little thing you do in that direction makes you a stronger person, right? I'm going to take a tangent on my own topics here. Um, Actually, no. Let's move to the next one. It's still actually, yeah, it ties into exactly. the note I put here is, I use the word learn to be sovereign, right? Sovereign meaning like royalty. You're like you're the king or the queen, or whatever. You're the royalty of your world, right? You are the centerpiece of your world, and you have to build boundaries that express who you are. We all have limits. We all have things, you know what I mean, that we don't want done to us. We don't want things we won't do to others. We have lines in the sand everywhere that shouldn't be crossed. Now, I'll tell you, somebody that doesn't have strong boundaries, what they will do is that they will take, let's say I have a boundary about, look, I have a problem with people not folding their clothes or some crap, right? Now, I may have to reach some compromise here if let's say my husband, my wife, whatever, doesn't fold their clothes ever, blah blah blah. I may have to reach some compromise, but there is a boundary that I have here, and there's a certain limit that if we pass that limit on a daily basis, what's going to happen is it's going to have a compounding effect. So I either have to learn to let go of it completely, or I have to express my boundary and say, now, wait up. When I say let go of it, that's what people will do who have unhealthy boundaries as well. You can do that by choice, but you can also do it because you have very unhealthy boundaries, and there's a difference. Now, it's my example that calls for the option being available. It's not always. Um, but look, make boundaries, make them strong. Say, look, am I willing to lend money? Am I willing to, help people move? Like, look, you buy a truck. Like, let me tell you something. All right, like seeing as I have experience as a contractor, and I've had trucks and minivans and whatever. You buy any of those vehicles, you have now become, your friend's official mover, right? Unless you can immediately say, hey, guess what? No, I'm not the mover. Like, this is not a thing. Um, sure, you can ask, but I'll probably say no. Depending on the situation. Assume no, I'll let you know if it changes. Because the minute you'll be moving somebody every weekend if you don't, right? Like, if you know people, if you're a social person, whatever, like, yeah, you'll be moving people every day. So you got to kind of go, no, my truck is not there for moving people. It's there because I'm a contractor. That's what I do for a living, and blah, 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 right? So that was a boundary for me, that had to be learned and expressed and developed. Um, Now, look, when I say be sovereign, what I'm trying to say here, be who you are. Be who you were meant to be. And I know that sounds like huge words to people, but what you need to realize is that you don't have to discover what you're meant to do and who you are. You're not looking for something, it's already there. It's been there all along. The problem that we do have is not to learn to get there, it's to remove everything that prevents us from seeing it, right? And a lot of that comes from our ego. You'll notice it's all intertwined, right? Like, all of it are functions of our ego. Either they're things we develop because our ego is bruised, or they're things we develop to protect ourselves, or they're things because we've been in a survival mode for millions of years, right? Like, we've been surviving as humans. Now, that started changing like barely 500 years ago, and not in a big way then. And then in the last 100 years, I mean, like, in the most insane fast way. And we're reaching a new era, we're reaching a place where we can actually, it's like we need to hit the brakes, slow down, and then just go, wow, whoa, wait. We're safe. We're good now. We're okay. We're not going to die tomorrow morning. We can figure this out. And look at ourselves and say, wait up, like, what do we really need out of this world? What do we really. We created systems that feed on themselves. So we got to stop that. We got to stop. Our biggest problem, I think, as humanity is we create situations that allow us to gather power. And again, this is our ego. Our ego wants power. It wants us to be on top because if we're on top, we're safe, right? It doesn't understand that we'll be okay if we allow. Look, there's a way to flow with the universe where you're okay. You learn the right skills at the right times, not because you're constantly like racking your brain around it like hardcore. No, because you're letting go and you're letting the solutions come to you and you're letting life lead you. And because remember, life is that mirror. So you're mirroring everything, you're learning from what mirrors back to you. You become at peace with the world, right? Like I have a sentence I use with people, and I suspect 99.9 of people that I say it to have zero understanding of what I just said. And I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm mean, but it's a bit of a humor thing I have with myself. But people will tell me things like, something that's happening in their life, but that is totally their fault sometimes, right? And often it is anger based and it is like frustrated. It's because they're not letting their emotions flow. They're not learning to handle themselves the right way. And they'll come and tell me these things and whatever, and it's like, no, you can't let all that, like, there's a every person I see, you know what? I don't know who else. Like, I think most empaths, we have that ability, right? And it's a weird ability. You can bring me the most screwed up person in the world. And what I see is the person inside. What I see is I don't know. I guess what I see is the child within, right? Like I'll see the good parts of that person, however buried. Now the truth is, what I had to learn over time, and what I think every empath should learn, and I hope you're listening if you're an empath. This is important. I had to learn that even though I can see the good person inside this person, they're toxic. There's right. It's like if I said, you give me Kool-Aid with poison, and I'm going, yeah, yeah, but there's good Kool-Aid in there, right? It's like, yes, but it's poisoned. Poisoned Kool-Aid is not Kool-Aid anymore. It's poisoned Kool-Aid. And yes, you can say, yeah, it's strawberry. Yeah, for sure, but it's poisoned. So when you meet toxic individuals, when you meet individuals that like are troubled to those extents, as empaths, yeah, we got to stop looking at the hurt child and going like, oh, but poor child, right? I gotta help. No, we got to stop doing that, man. Like, this is hurtful. I've done it. I suspect a lot of you have done it. um but yeah, guys, like, so proclaim yourself. Like, say, learn who you were. You know what? More than likely, the person that you're meant to be, and that's the question everybody's coming at with. Like, everybody's going, hey, man, what am I meant to do in life, right? The person you were meant to be in life was the person you were before they gave you shit for being the person you were. So everything that you got given crap for when you were a kid, you now have to kind of go back to that and say, wait a minute, were they right? You know other parents now. If you're an adult, like, I mean, if you're watching this and you're a kid, I don't know, what are you doing? Go to bed. No, but seriously, if you're watching this, you're an adult, whatever, like, things are different now, right? So you can revisit a lot of those things and question what my parents told me, what my uncles, my aunts, my environment, my teachers, what they told me, how much of that was accurate, how much wasn't, can I verify some of it, am I doubtful of some of it, did I find out that there was a whole bunch of other stuff they told me that didn't apply, what beliefs do I hold that I only know because, well, that's what everybody told me that life is, right? That's how life is. Well, no, not always. Ask other people. You know what? Look, this is probably for me. I'm a Taurus. I'm argumentative. I have an opinion on everything and then an opinion on everything else. Um, so I can be very argumentative. But here's what I had to learn. And I think that applies to everybody. I think that's a very useful skill for everybody. Everywhere you go in life, when you meet new people, even if they are at the absolute opposite extreme of what you are and everything you believe in, approach them in the hope of learning who they are and what makes them beautiful and what inside them, even if you disagree with them, okay, but what made them this way, what makes them that. Again, like I say, if somebody is absolutely toxic, like, walk away. I mean, don't let people poison you either. But if you meet anybody that's not poisoned, those people, like, yeah, listen to them, give them a chance, listen to their opinion. You can't argue a point unless you actually understand both sides properly, right? Because if you only understand your side and anybody that comes at you with the other side, all you do is reject their point and just move on with pushing yours, then you owe it to yourself and you owe it to humanity, you owe it to the world to listen to that person and to say, okay, wait up, before I respond, let me know, what do you think about it, right? And I'll tell you what, this is actually something very powerful in life, in negotiations, in any setting. I had a boss when I was I was general manager for a renovation company, whatever, and the owner. I could go to him and I had grief over something or whatever it was, right? And I would go on for a while and I'd be like, and this is not happening and this is going to go on and this is blah, blah, blah. And we need to do this and that and whatever. And the guy would just be there and, mhm, mhm, mhm. And then when I was done, then there would be a moment of silence, even. Like, he was very good at, like, hearing what you were saying. And then after that moment of silence, he would say, okay, well, here's what I heard. And he would repeat to me what I had just said. And then he would say, so here's what I've decided that, we're going to do because I have executive decision here, blah, blah, blah. Or I'm letting you take the decision on this, that, whatever you decide is whatever, is gold. But whatever he answered at that point, like, you didn't really want to argue that because he had listened to your point absolutely well. And so he was not giving you an answer that was absolutely ignoring you. He wasn't giving you an answer. He was giving you an answer that was thought about. And I mean, the guy had last veto on things, right? He was the owner, let's face it, right? But yeah, he always considered things and listened to things, and I always admired that about him. Um, you know, so if ever you listen to this, I doubt it. But yeah, that was all right. Now, guys, I keep on talking about forgiveness, talking about gratefulness. Now, here's the one central thing to all of this, and this is one Guys, love. Like, stop it already. Like, love. Learn to love. Learn to receive love. The hell's going on? What's like this hatred? It is anti love. Do you know everybody wants to be loved, but everybody hates love, guys. You gotta harness. You gotta not harness. What's the word I'm looking for? You gotta learn love. You gotta develop love, right? You Everybody thinks love is a feeling. You're gonna see somebody, and whatever they're talking about generally is infatuation. And worse than that, another thing that happens, and it happens often, and I had a friend who took a course and whatever, and he mentioned this to me, and I was like, holy crap, that is enlightening. Most times, if you're walking into the world and, like, let's say I'm a man, I like women, I'm a cis man. Um, if I'm walking around, I see, like this woman, and instantly I'm like, oh, okay, wait a minute. Like this person is so I'm so attracted to them instantly. What I'm attracted to, and it's relevant if I'm a person who has had like any kind of a really bad relationship with their parents and whatever when they were kids, and bad upbringing. What I'm perceiving and I'm attracted to is exactly that. Exactly everything that I should be running away from because it's familiar. It is very familiar. And because it's familiar, it makes my stress hormones, it makes all of that kind of just release. Like it relaxes. It kind of goes like, I know this. But that's a trap. That's a problem. It knows this, but if you didn't have a good childhood and stuff, you got to look at why it knows this. And that's a trap. So yeah, never fall for that. Like always kind of, take a step back if that happens, and don't go like, "Oh, I fell in love with them on day 1." Dude, you don't know. And you don't fall in love. Listen to that terminology to begin with. Like fall in love, what is that? Like I tripped, like you trip, you're going to fall on your face. Yeah, that sounds about right. No, love is a decision. Okay, like let me give you my definition of love. Again, I have a definition that's my own, that's different than most people, I guess. I don't know, or maybe it isn't. But my way of looking at love is a decision that you take. If I decide to love someone, love between humans, I mean, I have two definitions. I have love that is the love of God, that is the love of source, that is the eternal love, the light, the whatever, the life energy that we can manipulate. Like there is that love, which is unconditional and just free giving to everybody. I do not know how to express that love in all the ways that it deserves, but whatever. And then there's love between humans. Now I'm talking love between humans here. That love, it's a decision that you take. You meet someone and you have enough in common with them. You have enough, where you gel, and you enjoy their company, and you have things in common and things are great. And you make a decision to love this person, and to love someone means to want to encourage that person, to want to travel with them, and in both of your travels to manage to be a person that can encourage them to be who they were meant to be, the best that they can be, right? That is what it means to me to love someone. If I say I will love you, that is the commitment that I'm making to you. I am saying from now on, when you want to decide, like, I don't care, whatever it is that you say, like, I want to do this in life, I may think is completely bananas and stupid. Yet, if that is the thing that you want to do in life, if I want to love you, then I want to push you to do all the things that you want to do in life, right? I want to help you on your path. The problem is people get entangled in all these weird definitions of love where what they're trying to do actually is fill the hole within that is only filled by knowing ourselves. And until we fill that hole with us, we're going to constantly be trying to fill it with others. And that's dangerous. That becomes codependency. That becomes, it takes a whole bunch of weird shapes, but it is not healthy for us. It's not good for us to do. Um, so we really need, to understand the greater love, number one, like that greater love I spoke of. Okay, the two loves. So there's the human love. I just described my definition. Feel free to argue. Please argue, actually. You guys never say much in the comments. Like, come on, like, share, like, argue, say you agree, whatever it is. But yeah, definitely interact with us. Look, it even says it at the bottom. I never change the bottom when I'm alone. I don't know what I'm doing. So, um, actually, here, there we go. That's our website. So visit the website, you guys. Like, we're not doing much on the website. You can also visit. Look, I have my channel, Boundless Mind. There's videos on there that I've put about multiple things, including boundaries, including doing shadow work, simple meditation, like breathing meditations, uh stuff about journaling, stuff about, there's a few things, there's a few videos, there's whatever. I want to make more. Let me know what kind of topics you guys are looking for, and we can make more. Like, please join us when Jill join us back. Like, I mean, Jill is always a hoot. It's always fun to have Jill on the show. So that's, you know that's why it's Jill and Frank, right? um but yeah, like, guys, just, share, follow us, and do all that stuff, and you know don't let us down, because we definitely want to help you guys. Now, I guess tonight, I that's most of what I have, but it all comes back to the same. Okay, you know what? I'm going to tell you one thing. Here's what the name that I've said, the Boundless Mind, right? Also on YouTube, also go follow Jill's. Now, please, you guys, if you're here, even if you're on Facebook, whatever it is, please follow us on Boundless Mind on YouTube, and follow us also on Inspired Spirit on YouTube, because we're trying to make it on YouTube, and it's a little hard. It's a very tough platform to perform on. So please help us, like, go like us on there, Boundless Mind, Inspired Spirit. But you'll also see I have videos on there. She has videos on there on different topics, right? Like, she comes in from a different angle. She comes in from mediumship, from, she's got her own past that she brings. This is what makes us interesting when we're together, I find. We sometimes argue because, yeah, we have very different views, but, it's a lot of the fun. So you guys, like, yeah, join us. We're going to keep on bringing good topics. And please let us know topics you want to talk about. Meditate if you can. Start to meditate. If you need help in any of those things, right? Like, if you want to learn meditation, you want to learn relaxation, you want to learn, you can either approach us for, any kind of personal help, right? Like, whatever. Granted, that is not cheap, whatever, but some of the things we're willing to do is start building groups for you guys, right? To be able to help with certain things if you need help with your own spiritual path. Because in the end, that is exactly why Jill and I are doing this. Both of us have shared, a little bit the same goal, which is to help people on their own path to better themselves. So, let us know how we can help with that. Now, guys, I was hoping to do an hour. All I got today is 45 minutes. And so I hope this was satisfactory. I hope anything I said has helped anyone. In the end, here's the way I look at it. If I was able to help one person today, I'm happy. I'm happy I was able to help you. If I was able to help none, I'm going to keep trying, because I really have the desire to do good in the world and to bring you guys. Look, it's pretty simple. I started off as a beaten kid. I don't mean beaten like, I mean, but I had no clue how to go about life. I was emotionally destroyed. And I started there. And today, I'm happy. I'm going through like all kinds of hardcore stuff in my life right now. And you know what? I wake up every morning and I have a smile, and I'm happy to go through life. I'm happy to go through the suffering that I go through. And you know what? I want that for you. I want that for all of everybody. And I want to try to help you guys gain that. So please help me help you. So all right, you guys. In the meantime, I send you all the love I can. You guys deserve it. If you're here, it's probably because you're working on yourself. I assume you're doing a good job. Give yourself a pat on the back for even watching 2 seconds of this thing. It means you're trying to work on yourself. All right. Okay, you guys. We'll see you on the next one. And this is where I'm supposed to have started a video or something. All right, you guys. I'll see you later. Hopefully, we'll have Jill back. She's better at the technical stuff. See you later.